What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video in our tag mixer series. I believe this is video 22, if I'm not mistaken. And in the last video, we hey, you know what? Actually, have you subscribed? Have you? Hey, subscribe, will ya? It's free. It doesn't take very long, and it makes me smile, and hopefully it makes you smile too. So back to it. Let's just jump right into it here. We're going to continue. Let's pull up the plan. I usually open it before I start the video, but it's lagging today. Mentally, I mean, brain lagging. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up Free Mind and see about our upcoming milestones. It's all part of the plan. Right, okay. So, in the last video, we added the option that let the user select shortcode or site-wide option. What that means is... Hold on a second. Okay, what that means is this button right here, we allowed the user to decide whether they wanted to use their... they wanted to output the tag mixer modifications site-wide, or if they wanted to just do it in a shortcode where they could output it in a page. And right now I'm going to open that test page. Sorry, this is taking forever. And we're going to go ahead and view it one more time just so we can see what's happening, because it is happening real time right now. It's going to be big text. This is actually being manipulated by the code, or by the plugin. Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little bit more work on adding some more JavaScript options. We're actually going to have a few videos in the series on this. The next few will be based on this. Adding some more things like changing the font size, things like that. Actually, if you want to look at what we're doing, it's pretty straightforward. Back on the packages page, we already kind of wrote some in as an example. So we're going to take a look at those, and then we're just going to start like working backwards off that list. And this was kind of just a list I just kind of threw together of I know things that JavaScript can do. So let's start with changing font color. We did font size, font color. Image is a little more complicated. And then background color, opacity of item, replacing words with another word, hrefs. This is all pretty easy stuff, actually. We're just going to focus on color right now, and then we'll like make videos probably for each of these because they all take little different commands and whatnot. So, all right. So let's start with color. Well, let's like record scratch. Stop for a second. Let's think about what we really want to do here. The user's going to want to change the font color of an item. So let's say they want to change this font color here, the headline, to like a red or something. All right, well, get out of here, RoboPhone. Okay, so what we want to do with that is we want to give the user the ability to select a color from a color chooser. Fortunately, HTML5's got our back on this. He's our homie, and he already has this figured out. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a color picker up here to like a tools area. Maybe we'll make like a tools area. I'm not going to hide it yet. Maybe in a future video we'll like hide it and make it so it shows up when a user clicks a button for like tools, or I don't know what they used to call it in WordPress, like open the kitchen sink or something like that. I never understood it. But anyway, it drops out like all these extra tools, right? So that's maybe what we're going to do. But for now, we're just going to hard code it in. And believe it or not, it's pretty simple once again, because a lot of stuff we've already done has made this really easy on ourselves. So let's go ahead and close the upcoming milestones, because for some reason this program eats up a lot of memory with JavaScript or with Java. So we'll open that at the end to give ourselves a pat on the back and put a star there, because you can't forget to give yourself a gold star, and motivates yourself. And so anyway, let's get started by opening up Visual Studio Code. And where we're going to head in here is pretty straightforward. We're going to the admin file and into the partials and into the package settings page, because that's where all our package settings are. Let's go ahead and throw that out of the way because we don't want to see that anymore. All right, and let's start up here at the top. Okay, so what we're going to do is we only have to modify in a few places, believe it or not, to make this happen. Starting with, let's go down to the section where the top of that form begins. I think it's like around the 300s. Let's see. It's like 3. I think it's lower, in fact. Yeah, right here. Perfect. Okay. So you see how this says I want to, and then it has all of our options. So this is the HTML code that's actually running this section right here. I actually want to make another horizontal rule and then make like a helpful tools section like I was just talking about. So let's do that up here. This is that HR that's separating. Let's go ahead and make another HR down here. Let's give ourselves some space, man. And all right. I don't know why tabs in so far. Okay, so pretty easy here. What we're going to do is we're going to start by saying, I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Let's just say like a color selector for changes. That's pretty good. Okay, and then on the color selector for changes, we're actually going to do an input, which is an HTML5 input, and we're going to make it a type of, believe it or not, color. And that's going to allow it to be a built-in color picker in most browsers, so this will work good. And then we're going to give it an ID, because we're going to be using some JavaScript on this, an event listener, which we'll talk about that in a second. And I know I haven't talked a lot about that, so I'll try to explain it easily about using event listeners. I'm going to go ahead and just give the name the same thing, even though I don't necessarily need it. It's just kind of like practice for later. And then let's give it a starting color value of, let's just blank it out just to white. That's fine. And I think that's going to go ahead and do it for our color selector. And if we go take a look at our code already, you're going to see like a little box pop up that just says color selector. Now, another thing too is I kind of wanted to add some kind of header to this thing to give the user an idea of what this section is. So let's just call this like helpful tools and then break the line. That's fine. That'll work. All right, so back over in the browser, if we refresh this page and take a look, we're going to see some stuff pop up right here. Basically the stuff we just did. And you're going to see a little color box that's just white. Or black, sorry, black. I did F, right? I did F actually. Or shouldn't that have been white? It might be when I opened the color wheel. I don't know. Maybe 000 is white. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, so now you see this little helpful tools and select color for changes. And when we click this, wow, look at that. It's built into HTML5. Yeah, it actually would have been 000, I think, for that. Or no, 000 for that. And interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, I might have had to do 6 Fs. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It can start as black too. It doesn't even matter. But here's the thing. So now we have a color selector for the user. If they're trying to select a color to change for font or for background color, something like that, we wanted to have this built-in tool right on hand so that they don't have to leave the plugin and stuff like that. All right. Well, right now when the user does this, they say, oh, yeah, look, I love this green or whatever, right? This green reminds me of the Incredible Hulk. I want to use this, whatever, and or Yoda or something. Okay. Well, they see this RGB value. They have a red, green, blue value, and they're like, oh, awesome. Okay, but how does that translate into the new value to change to? Yeah, you need the hexadecimal format, the hex format, right? That looks more like what I just did here. You need that hex format. Well, how do you get the hex format from this so the user can use it? Well, we need to use what's called an event listener. It's basically a really, really simple JavaScript thing, or JavaScript built-in function kind of that watches elements and then will fire an event when something has happened. So like an on-click event, a focus event, lose focus event, lots of things like that, and it will trigger the code that's inside that function to fire when that happens. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a on-change event, meaning that when the user has changed this somehow and clicked away from it, it'll fire the on-change event, and then we can get the hex format, and then the user can copy that to here, and then they can add it to their code, and everything will be happy. So here's how we do that. It's actually pretty easy, and I'm going to do it in line here versus do it in a exterior JavaScript file or in up above in JavaScript. I'm just going to do it right here in line so that you can see it right next to the stuff. It's a lot easier to do that versus having to scroll all over the place, and I can always fix it later. All right, so in order to do that, we actually need to add a place for the code to be outputted, or the hexadecimal value. So we're going to do a couple of breaks here, keep it really simple on ourselves. And let's just say something like a new color hex value. Yeah, that sounds good. And this time, I'm going to use Emmet for the love of God. I need to remember to use it. I keep telling myself every time I'm going to use Emmet. I'm going to use Emmet. And by the way, Emmet is you just do a tag and hit tab and it will do it. So say I was doing like strong in my last video, just hit tab. Look, now I have strong tags. Okay, that's really the easiest way instead of having to write it out every time manually like a complete moron. And then we're going to call this the color. And once again, I'm going to do some inline styling just to give people a heart attack. And I'm going to say, how about like 20 pixels? That's fine. All right, perfect. So now we have kind of like our foundation set up real fast for how we're going to make this happen. And that should about do it for how I want it set up. Let's see, the color selector. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this. Okay, so underneath here, outside of the HR, I know, like I said, I'm going to give people a heart attack with this. It's fine, because you're not even usually do this in the header or the footer or something like that. I'm just going to go ahead and open up some script tags right here. And let's go ahead and create that function to watch that. So we're going to say something like create a function to watch the color selector and output the change. All right, simple enough. So let's do a document, and let's say get element by ID. Now remember, this stuff is really case sensitive in JavaScript. So if you get this wrong and it's not working, you just have to look at how you type stuff out. Now, the element we're going to be getting, we're going to be watching the color selector, right? That's the document, or that's what we're going to be watching for a change. So what we're going to do is say on change. This is a JavaScript. We could be using jQuery and all that, but I'm just keeping it really vanilla JS in this case, which means just like base JavaScript. That's when people say vanilla JS, that's all they mean. They mean just pure JavaScript. It's not advanced jQuery or anything like that. So we're going to open up this. This is going to open up a function, and there you go. So now we've opened up a function. We're saying on change, we want you to do this function, right? We did it right here in line. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say document. We're going to do something that's going to look really familiar because we just did it above. And we're going to say right here, what we want is we want the output field, okay? Because we're saying when this changes, we're going to want to now target the output field, where I mean we're going to show the color to. And we want to say the value equals nothing. Now, why are we doing this? Well, because we want it to clear whatever previous value was in it before we append a new one. So then what we're going to say, and this time we don't necessarily have to type it out. We can just start stealing from above. And actually, you know what? We don't have to do that. Not the value. Actually, let me erase that. I actually want to do something else. In this case, I actually want to do value. I'm remembering now. I want to do text content, just like that. And I want that to equal nothing. That's actually targeting the text content inside of the paragraph itself. So that's actually what we want. Sorry about that. The other way of showing the value is like for other stuff, like the color selector itself and things like that. If you want to change the value inside of a paragraph with JavaScript, you have to use text content. Okay, so we're going to clear out what's in it. Then we're going to do this text content again, and all we have to do is we're going to say plus equals. This is a way of just appending. I don't know why it's doing it backwards. There we go. And what we're going to say is this dot value. Now, how can we get this? Well, we can get this because we're functioning inside of the selector above. That's the element we're getting on change. So this is actually referencing to the color selector. And the value is actually the selected value that the user selects on the change of the color wheel. So barring anything unforeseen, if we go back and we refresh this page, I should be able to see a little bit of a change, and then I should be able to start getting the hex value. Let's take a look. Okay, so here we go. Helpful tools, color selector for changes. Let's grab like red. Look at that. There it is. So now we are getting the value of the red. See, it's outputting it because now we have an event listener watching. Let's say we love this like sky blue. Yeah, that's great. Let's say we want like hot rod red, like Iron Man style. I don't know why I'm talking about Marvel. And there it is. Okay, so let's just take this red, and now we're going to go ahead and figure out how to add it as a font color. Okay, so we've done some of the hard parts. Now it's on to the easy part. All we have to do is go up back above to our function that we wrote. I think it's back up in here. Yeah, it's right here, in fact. Add the item. This is the function that the this button, is calling to when it's clicked. So it does this stuff. And first it gets the element of item to add, which is our dropdown, and then it's determining what the user selected, and then it's doing all the stuff it's got to do. All right, well, this is going to be really easy. All we have to do is add a new else if statement and open up some new squigglies. No problem. Okay, so what we're going to say is e.value. We're just copying this straight from above, okay, because this is what it's checking for. And we're going to say, if you remember, go back and look, it says change font color. So that's what we're typing in. On change font color, now we're determining what to do when the font color has changed. Well, guess what? We can just steal from right here, and we can say change the font color. Okay, easy enough. Now, the thing is, we have style, font size. Nope, it's style, color. Everything else can remain the same because it's already grabbing all the proper values from everything the way we did it here. It's just doing it on change font color versus change font size. It's just outputting font color versus size. So now what we can do is go back, grab this page. Once more, sorry for slowness. And then let's go ahead and load in our package that's currently modifying this headline. So let's see what the package is. Currently contains the font size change. So let's go ahead and change the color. Let's grab like that Iron Man red, and then let's put that down here in the new value. Let's grab the ID of the item. We have it sitting right here. We could also go get it from the ID of the item we want to modify, but we already have the rule on it right there. And we might actually make something in the future that pulls the rule out, but there's going to be a lot of rules in here for different stuff, so you just have to know. And so we're going to change the font color. So now we have the color. We have the color copied from right here. We can just keep selecting it and pulling the color down. And then we have the ID. Let's go ahead and add it. And take a look at that. Now it's saying it's appending it. Now the test headline has 2 rules set for this package rule, or for this tag mixer package set. So it's going to change the font size and it's going to change the color. Let's save the settings. Everything else in the plugin should work the same. And if we take a look, it's saved it in the database. Let's go back to the test page, run a refresh, and we should have a red headline. Aha! Look at that. So now our tag mixer is capable of doing 2 different things to existing content on pages, and we could disable and enable this as we see fit. Like I said, it's going to work really good for advertising of pages and stuff like that, landing pages and whatnot. So let's just go ahead, just because I feel like it, and let's reload in this package rules. We have to change this for some reason. Not for some reason, I actually already looked, I just haven't fixed it. When you save, it doesn't save it twice, but there's a reason for that. Okay, let's go ahead and just pick a new color. Let's say like a super awesome purple, like a Dodge plum crazy purple. And let's see, put it right there, save the settings because it's right there in the package rules. And now we should have a Charger Challenger plum purple. Let's see. Yeah, all right. Actually, it's a little lighter. Charger would be darker than that. Anyway, so hey, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I think the video's already like, man, what does it say, 16 or something minutes here? Okay. So and I keep trying to keep it at 10 minutes, but man, it gets tough. So let's do a fast recap on what just happened here. Really fast recap. All we did was come to our tag mixer package settings page, and we added in a color selector, which is a built-in HTML5. You just have to do input color. That's it, and give it an ID. And then we added a quick JavaScript event listener so that when this changes, it just updates a paragraph with the color hex code. And then we added another function, or we added an else if statement so that we could add a font color, and it would append it to our style. And by the way, just so you know, this is read line by line. It's inline reader, JavaScript is, so like all of HTML and everything. So meaning that if you had a color here and then a color here, it would choose the last color, because it reads it like this: 50 pixels, D400. Like it's just straight off the list, right? Like it's reading it right off the list. So it would take whatever the last one in the list. So okay, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up right there. Then the next video, we're gonna work on more of this stuff. We're probably gonna do I don't know why it's glitching all of a sudden. Okay, there we go. We would probably do background color. That's probably what I'll do next. We'll probably do all these here. We'll probably do everything else in this list with the exception of image. That'll probably be the last one we do because it's the most complicated. And then we'll figure that one out too. Anyway, hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, just subscribe, will ya? It's free and it makes me smile and it doesn't take very long at all. And I think that, what do my stats say? Like 90% of people who watch aren't subscribed. I think a lot of YouTube people say this now, like as a way to get you subscribed, but just do it, will ya? It gives me motivation to keep making cool videos. Anyway, I look forward to see you guys in the next one. Oh, I almost forgot. We got to give ourselves the star. I need the star. I do. I need the stars. I'm like Nemesis. I need stars. Let me see. Okay. So let's go ahead and give ourselves, well, it's not even a star anyway. It's a check mark. Okay. So perfect. So we're just going to keep adding more of these and more of these and more of these. Then we'll get to this part. Then we're actually going to go through the fun part of actually, where we submit it and WordPress denies us. So that'll be the fun part. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next part where we just keep adding on to this thing, and let's try to get it all the way to where it's complete. Anyway, I'll see you then.